Hi, this is Heidi Bedritis with Bedritis Books. I'm a bookkeeper and a certified advanced pro advisor in QuickBooks Online, and I encounter a lot of different scenarios to troubleshoot and resolve when working in clients' books. So today we'll be focusing on how to ensure that our financial reports are complete before we submit them to our CPA or our tax professional at the end of the year. We'll be working on this first step of that, which is categorizing transactions, and I'll share a few helpful tips for that process. So coming into our banking center, this brings us to a screen where each of our bank accounts that we have previously synced to QuickBooks Online is displayed. And clicking on our checking account, it shows us that there are 33 transactions that have fed from the bank account that need to be reviewed and categorized. And something to note is that until these are reviewed or categorized, these transactions are not showing up on your financial reports. They're not on your balance sheet or on your profit and loss statement until they're categorized. So it really does bring value to what we're about to do here. Now, the next thing that I would like to highlight is if you're trying to categorize from multiple months or a large volume of transactions all at once, I recommend sorting by description so that you have all your vendors in a list alphabetically so that you can assign each more as a whole versus coming across it multiple times as you go through the months. Then the next step that I recommend is coming over and clicking on this gear icon, turning on grouping, and let's watch what that does. It expands everything and assigns it a header. And if we scroll down to Chins, Gas, and Oil, it's assigned it a header and shows that there's 5 transactions within this header. And if we were to select the header, it would select all of those transactions. So it really just makes for a more efficient way of managing these as a bulk group. So I'll go ahead and unselect that again for now. And let's look at an individual transaction and getting it categorized. So the first thing that I highly recommend is adding a vendor. There's a few reasons for this, one of which is if you're trying to issue 1099s at the end of the year, it's a lot easier to pull a report to find out what vendors are eligible for that and how much you need to list on that 1099 if you've been tracking to the vendor throughout the year. There's also a number of other reports in QuickBooks Online that really benefit from assigning that vendor. So let's go ahead. All we have to do is click in this Select Payee section and we can start typing. Now it'll start popping up with some options of vendors that are already available, and if we haven't previously added this vendor, we do need to add it now. So we'll just keep on typing and then we can hit the Enter key and it'll pull up just a verification screen where we can click Save. That has added our vendor just like that, very simple. Now we're going to come in and we're going to categorize. So I know that Chins, Gas, and Oil is a gas or a fuel charge, and we have fuel in the system as a chart of accounts. So we will go ahead and click on that, select that, and we could click Add at this point, but we would not have established a really great process for ourselves in the future. We would have to come in and select vendor every time and select the category every time, or rely on QuickBooks automation to hopefully pre-fill that for us every time, but there are some factors that could mean that that wouldn't be accurate. So then what I recommend, highly recommend, is creating a rule for your transactions that are going to be regular transactions that don't fluctuate as far as what category they should be assigned. So let's create a rule, and we can name it essentially whatever we want to be helpful to ourselves. However, QuickBooks Online does have a restriction on this that it doesn't allow special characters, so I'll leave that apostrophe out. And then what we can do is take a look at what this rule says to us, if the rule is set up the way we want before we hit save. So reading through this, it says if the money is coming out of our checking account and the description that came from the bank account contains this verbiage, then we want QuickBooks to code it as an expense and categorize it to fuel and assign the appropriate vendor. Now, something I also like to do is clear this memo line so that it leaves a blank space for the bank account memo to pull through each time instead. And then now that we've reviewed that, we can go ahead and click Save. And that has added the rule and went ahead and assigned the vendor and the category to each of these transactions that the rule applied to. And now we can come over, select the checkbox in the header, which selects each transaction, and we can go ahead and click Accept. And now that we've accepted that, it's in our Categorize section, which now that we've already reviewed this is on our financial reports now. And our financial reports are on their way to being more complete. We just have 28 more transactions to go, which we don't need to do live on this call together because the same process would be used. I hope this video was helpful to you. If you do have any questions, I offer one-on-one coaching to get you set up or monthly bookkeeping to take that burden off of you as the business owner. If you'd like to reach out, you can send me a direct message and we can get a free discovery call on the calendar.